Hey, wait! And then a loud clack was heard echoing across the arcade. The two of us paused, heads turning to the source as a crowd of dinosaurs parted to reveal the Time Dino Crisis machine. The sound turned out to have been the blue pistol, which was dropped and thus fell and clattered against the side of the machine. Olivia, meanwhile, had slotted her own back into the middle holster. Nasser and Olivia looked at each other, Olivia clearly having something to say, though Nasser didn't really reciprocate. I was too far to listen in, and now his ears fail him. Jesus, Anon, get a new model. If you're going to use him this much anyway. I really think that it's just author really wants Olivia to be a POV character but doesn't want to commit to it. It's so lame. But I didn't need to. I already knew what she had told him. Olivia was direct and to the point when she needed to be, which made it all the more painful for Nasser, his wings lowering more and more, eyes losing whatever confidence and luster they had. Sadness smothering out the happiness. He was devastated. All hope for a bright, loving future replaced with, well, an empty future. Olivia, of course, couldn't bear to see him like this. She shook her head, bit the edge of her snout, and of course she started to draw blood, because that's all these characters are good for.
Bleed. Bleed! You will lie down and bleed to death.
You know, something I've come to realize listening to the soundtrack, right, is the music and the vibes of Wani versus Snoot are so far apart from each other, really. They might technically be pretty much the same game with a lot of repeated patterns, but in another way, I think for what it's worth, there's a lot more focus on like the core morality of the characters in Wani, whereas Snoot is a bit more just Anon gets a good time. I should play them again sometime, because I'm writing about them, and it would help to know what I'm writing about. As quickly as it begun, she turned around and left, just like that. Well, just like that, they weren't together anymore. I got out of the seat, Naomi stunned. What? I walked past her, going over to Nasser. He still looked in shock, golden eyes blinking. Then he finally registered my presence. Anon, what did I? Why didn't she want to? Why? And I couldn't find him an answer. Using all my strength and energy to maintain eye contact, as I slowly placed a hand on his shoulder. All I could tell him was, it wasn't your fault, Nasser. It's nothing you did wrong. It's just... He moved from my hand and thumped his head against the side of the arcade machine. So now it's shut closed. In an etched frown... In an etched what? Okay, that... You don't frown with your fucking nose, man. And digits digging into his grey palms. Oh no, more again, he's done this a bunch of times in this chapter, though. Like, structurally, the sentences aren't as absolute hot dog shit. There's a bit more energy to make the longer sentences at least not feel like complete and utter turds. That might just be because I'm auto-correcting them in my brain, as you may have noticed. But, like, fucking hell, man, everyone's just drawing blood. Like, he's 17, right? Like, we're not doing the 2-year gap that's in the games. I get that it fucking sucks, but you met like 2 weeks ago. Like, I don't know, it feels extremely immature from these characters. In a weird way. The tears welled up in his eyes. He turned away from the display, shaking. I'm going back to the car. He didn't finish what he was going to say. Instead, making a beeline for the exit on the other side. I still don't like the emphasis on his fucking wing. Like, I get it. How about you write some facial descriptions, motherfucker? I stood and I watched Naomi talking as she passed.
Oh, does this mean that you and me are living together, Nasser?
He gave no response, exiting the arcade as Naomi raised her head. Why was she looking down? I could see a brief ghost of a smile.
I can't believe she actually broke up with him.
I would have been outraged that someone she loves was hurt so much. Sounded more like a celebration.
I should go comfort him.
Naomi said it with such satisfaction. For some reason, I remember the oddest thing of that night in my past life after prom. satisfied, I felt, closing the door on Reed and Trish's face, because I was the only one Fang could fall back to after the worst day of her life. How much I cared about myself. I lost it. I finally had the chance and I finally got the chance to say what I should have said, that someone should have said to me that night. You know what, Naomi, you're right. I should have told Nasa who you truly are. She turned to me, blinking from above her glasses. You're a selfish cunt who doesn't care about anyone but herself. Naturally, she was taken aback of anyone offering any kind of counter-pressure. But I turned the other way, just too angry about this all. I need to find my sister, but good luck enacting the next fucked up plan he had to get together with Nasa. Again, I always felt it was kind of convenience that drove Naomi that direction, but whatever. I walked away after saying my piece, moving to the exit where I'd seen Olivia roll away to. And before leaving, I just had to take a look, and she was still there. No frown or anger on her face, despite the blatant insult. Just staring at the carpet. I don't think Naomi's that self-aware. Like, it's strongly implied in Snoot Game that she doesn't give a fuck. I could have been fooled into thinking there was actual regret on her face. Shaking my head, I walked past the open doors, looking around the second floor pathway for Olivia. I found her waiting outside the door, quietly staring down at the letter in her laps. Eyes dull, far more tired than they should have been. Came up to Olivia. She slowly looked up at me. So I asked her the obvious question. So she looks up at you, but your eyes aren't being met? That feels weird. I get what he's going for. It's like she's not really looking at him. It's more this empty gesture. But hey, you want to get a taxi home? She nodded, but remained silent. We both walked towards the exit. It didn't take genius to know how much she was already regretting a decision. How poor in taste the mall music above was. Anyway, I don't get this. Again, author likes music. That's all I'm getting out of this. Admittedly, it's comical, but this is like a joke. This is a gag. I get what you're going for, and writer man, but like, fuck. You're kind of undercutting the moment by being like, oh, look at how funny the music's being. Because you might be like, oh no, it's just sad. No, you don't call it out. Maybe you recall it, but you don't start quoting it. You're just like, ugh, there's the saccharine music. It feels a little weird. Especially since, your head might be, whatever. The music continued as we followed the signs to the taxi stand, Olivia growing more and more sluggish, losing strength in her arms. By the time we had reached the sliding doors, this beautiful wheelchair was nothing but a crawl. Hey, I approached the taxi out front. Can you get the trunk open? The tinted window was raised too high to see the driver.
Hey, what for? I don't see you with a bag or anything.
And then, as the familiar voice faded away and took notice of Olivia,
Oh, never mind. I'll open the trunk for you.
Wait, I know this Velociraptor. I don't know, is he a Velociraptor? I always thought he was like random nondescript species. Long eyebrows, antagonistic-looking goatee, combed back hair. Same I'd seen I was being driven after... Yeah. The same I had seen as I was being driven back home after falling down the stairs and onto the bollard. At that time at prom. It was that driver. I mean, it's the only driver you ever get, buddy. Other than Nasser. And to my surprise, he looked at me as if he recognized me. Albeit with a bit more confusion, as his he does not have black eyes. They're dark brown at best. And he does have sclera that's white.
Hey, wait a sec. Have we met before? Like, I don't know. Like, did I see you in a commercial or something?
I was about to answer before realizing Olivia hadn't come up with us. How did he notice her then? Turning around, she was exactly where I left her, albeit slowly opening the letter that was resting in her lap. I approached, the driver too busy in thought to figure out if we knew each other. I came up to her and... So, you opening it? She slowly nodded as she slowly opened. We all slowly take care of stuff here. Very dramatic. I just want to point this out. Things don't become more dramatic or impactful or meaningful just because they're slow. That's not how that works. That works in visual media for a reason. Because there's an element of time, but the pacing in writing is dictated by the reader. So you have to work way harder to stretch for time. Something fell out. I mean, it's a fucking envelope, my man. There's probably a piece of paper in there. Fluttering in the wind. I don't know why this happens. This doesn't do anything for the story. It's just a weird action, a stage direction, something cute. But I don't know what it's supposed to do. Thanks. It was a drawing. It was a bad drawing in which Olivia was like, keep loving because you draw very nice. And then she gets real sad. I'm skipping this because I don't care. Okay. This moment is undercut by the fact that in like 10 minutes they come back together again anyway because Mom was right. I'm not upset about Mom being right. I'm upset you didn't even let this fucking shit simmer. Like, Mom's point was that you kind of had to Actually, Mom's point was you'll realize 5 seconds later, which is so fucking hammy. But the writing isn't hammy. Give me some ham. I need my protein. Anyway, loveliest Olivia, I hope you like the piece of art I drew. I know it's incomparable to the beautiful pieces you create, but I wanted to try my claw at it. That's not how they talk. You're probably thinking about how weird it is that you're holding a letter from me. You know, like it's the 1800s, but so much I want to say and smart enough to know that I'd be crappy at actually saying it. So I figured this was a good compromise. You mean so much to me, Olivia, so much that I'd run out of space to write, which he doesn't. And thanks to you, I've flown so far despite years of being apart, farther than I've ever imagined. Just me dying to ask if you'll go out with me to Dino Most this weekend. Isn't it weekend already? Wasn't this done on like Saturday, Sunday? I'll want to continue flying, but with you from here on out. And with you, I'll be finally able to do it with both my wings. I mean, she lost both her legs, so you're kind of, 2 legs and a wing short. Yours truly, Nasser. Anyway, she's like, oh no, Mom was right. I mean, actually, Anon would be like, Mom was right. Anon doesn't even point that out. Like, I don't think Anon ever recalls that his mom literally told him this was what was going to happen. Although his mother was more like, yeah, sometimes you need to make a wrong decision to realize what the right decision is, which is a fair point. I've told you that's a way to do things, is you take a decision and you hate it. And then he's like, let's go back, and it's this, and it's like, oh, I remember you, and the driver is just another weird cameo, which he's not like this. He's way more confident and suave. Like, maybe he's doing it because he knows he's not involved in this anyway. I don't know. Anyway, they do a stupid thing, and I think Anon throws the entire fucking... I don't know what he's trying to do here. It's an action scene that doesn't carry any real purpose to it, because we already know that this story doesn't do tension. It doesn't hold tension. Stuff happens, and we're like, oh, yay, everything's happy again. Anyway, it was Nasser. They're really fucking happy. They're giving each other's kisses. Mwah, 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 mwah. Pulled her off the wheelchair. And it's Naomi who's like, oh man, I can't believe they made up. Congrats, you win. And if it was a game, it fucking wasn't to me. What a weird statement. He literally said that. Like, I don't get this. You've known each other for like a couple of weeks. Like a week maybe, right? What is this about? Like, Naomi, are you an asshole to everyone you meet? Because otherwise none of this makes sense. Anyway, he remained silent. Naomi, blah, 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 blah. Why Nasser? Only one who cared, because Naomi... No one cared about Naomi. Even though I always kind of got the impression... I mean, we don't really get that much of an impression on Naomi. She's on the stage and, like, Spears doesn't care, so I guess you could read into that. Anyway, Anon is like, you know, oh, I wondered if there was a human Anon around. Where does he say that? Yeah, love confession letter. Congratulations. This I don't get either. She's like, I became vegan. Aren't you vegan because you're like a herbivore? I'm pretty sure that. But I guess on some level, maybe that's supposed to point out why Tracy isn't actually a fucking asshole. Like someone told him, hey, this makes Tracy look like a bitch. And no, it's because she's a vegan instead of just a herbivore, which is weird. Here we go. He's like, I wonder if there was another human. But it turns out the other human was Naomi, which is weird because Naomi also exists in your timeline and was probably the same person. Unless you're the one fucking it up. I don't get this part at all. Like what he's really trying to do, because we don't know Naomi that well outside of the fanfic, and we've done so much rebuilding of characters and setup and execution. Why are you copy-pasting her from the game? Like I don't know, it feels very confusing. Maybe I shouldn't read other fics while I'm doing other things, but whatever. Anyway, she gives a kiss, her tail goes up, because despite the fact these motherfuckers have kissed a bunch of times, we keep pointing this out, I don't know why. And then the tail breaks her wheelchair, I don't get it, and that's it. That's the chapter. And then we're at the part where they just show some art. I'll be honest, this chapter isn't great. It still suffers from massive structural storytelling issues. I don't know. I just don't know, okay? It's, structurally speaking, kind of hot, just trashy. Which I guess is better than hot garbage. Like, it doesn't... It does a lot of word and sentence repetition, but it does try to control itself. Then we're going to take a look at the next chapter and see. It's about the same length. I forgot what's in it. I'm pretty sure. Again, you might have noticed that they make up, right? They have that whole moment and they just kiss and make up. There's no tension. There's no stress. They're just like, mwah, 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 everything's fine now. We're friends. Whoa. There's no rush. It's like when Oscar forgot his wallet. That's why they ran back. It feels so deflating to have these characters not actually simmer on anything. I think Naomi also pointed out like her parents don't really care. Yeah, it seems the parents are very optimistic about. We'll see that next time. I'll just leave it at that. I don't know. I don't get it. I don't really care. So, we're in chapter 18, 19 now, right? And we got like 5 chapters to go. I'm not even sure where the plot is gonna go or where it should go or what the point is of any of this. So let's go back to chapter 23. I think a very fun thing you can do in stories like this is you can go to the end chapter and like look at the end and see like, can you figure out how you got here? It seems someone's fighting their own battle. Seems to be something with Naomi. And I gets hit with a can. Man, I don't know what's going on. I honestly feel that there's a lot of fix out there, and one of the big mistakes they make is they try to stick very rigidly to the plot beats of the game without understanding that those plot beats are kind of ingrained with the fucking plot. So they try to have their cake and eat it, and it's really awkward when that happens. I've just been very salty and sour lately, and I'm not in the best mood, which is why I wanted to do this re-recording of all these things, because I don't know. Promise of a lifetime, there it is. 18 chapters. I'll give it one thing. Yeah, I've kind of given it shit for, like, not... Give me the fucking ham I want. I want some goddamn ham with this sandwich. But it's been a breezy read. I'm, like, halfway through, and I'm like, you know what? This is fine. 91,000 words, you know? It's not as long as the other ones, but hey. I wish I could get back to writing, but like I said, my brain is all kinds of fucked up. But hey, thank you for coming. I mean, no one is here for the re-recording, Safi. Who are you talking to? But either way, thank you. It's very polite of you to watch my videos. I really do appreciate it. I don't make any money off of this at all, because you know, I don't monetize these because I know I have no idea how bad they are. I've honestly been thinking about just turning off monetization entirely because it doesn't do anything for me, and I don't like always having to go on like, oh, don't worry, there's just a whole bunch of fucking gore. I've actually had a couple of times where the system goes, hey buddy, there's more going on. Bother with this. Oh, that's interesting. But yeah, Scary Dave didn't even show for the stream. That's the sad part. If you see this and like I have the stream sense, know that the reason is that I'm feeling like absolute hot dog shit. I do not feel like a fat hot dog. I feel like a fat dog turd. And it might be a while before that cleans up and clears up and we're back to normal, and maybe not. I don't know. I need to get my writing spirit back and a whole bunch of other stuff. But until then, I will once again repeat that I want to thank you for what you did, for showing up, for saying hello. And I hope you continue to enjoy it. If not, I'm sorry. I'm sorry I ruined your day and made things a little less fun. We got a lot more to go. We got 5 chapters left, like a 5th. This will be like, what, in the 60s? Jesus! This might reach the 80s or 90s. I think what my plan is, okay? I hope you don't hate me for this. I think I'm just gonna no stream, record the rest of Something to Nothing, because I just want to be done with it. I'll make them longer, 30-minute chunks. And I'll just do it in my own time. I just want to get this out of my life. I don't need Nothing to Something. It's not healthy for me. It doesn't spark joy, as that one lady says. It doesn't spark joy. I'm not happy from it. What's up next? Inko noted, yeah. Is Promise on that? Promise of a Lifetime needs to be put on that list, Safi, because you know you want to. Hell, maybe we could do it before Inco. How long was Inco Noted? Inco Noted. One thing that struck me about Inco Noted is that it's such a smooth read. You can tell that some people just know how to actually fucking write something and make it flow. Also, I think that Inco Noted was finished in like one go, so the guy clearly did his work, and he had like the whole thing ready before he did it, so it doesn't suffer from a lot of things. A lot of fics, they tend to try to do big structural things, but they're written by the seat of their pants. I assure you that, generally speaking, you want to avoid that. All I can think about right now is that YouTube keeps recommending me Brian Sanderson films reviews because his last book came out, The Stormlight Archive. And everyone is like, man, you can tell this guy was doing way too many side projects. And then one other person was like, I felt bad about Brian Sanderson. I judged him because he was a Mormon. And then some guy in the comments was like, hey, he's not just a Mormon. He like donates to the Church of Mormons. And like, you know, he supports them in a way despite the shit they pull. And I can't stop laughing my ass off at that situation. And like people going, man, this book feels so cliched and overwritten. Like, it tries to explain things too much that's just standing on their own 2 feet. I don't know. It's funny that it shows up in my recommendations. I don't know, man. I'm just upset that Scary Dave doesn't show up. It's been a weird time. It's been a weird, annoying time. I'm grumpy. And I'm allowed to be grumpy in this video. This video is now 25+% me being grumpy. Hell yeah. Anyway, like I said, I'm probably going to take nothing to something. And I'm just going to speedrun it. We're going to speedrun this book. I don't think anything can be missed by speedrunning it. Because that's just the kind of writing we're dealing with. Next chapter's going to be freebirding out of control. Oh yeah, our wheelchair is broken. Which is such a weird thing. It's like instead of having the tension of their romantic relationship last, they introduces a brand new problem. And I just don't know what the fucking point is at that point. What are you doing? Why do you invent reasons to be upset? Instead of just sticking to the ones that are obviously in front of you. Motherfuckers were apart for 5 seconds, and just like with Mom, even, like, you could say it's genetic, but Olivia's from a different family. Like, nothing about this really works on paper. In the way that it should. Although, admittedly, like, at this point, why don't you just have Olivia realize that she regrets it immediately after she says it or something like that? And then Nasser is like, did you really mean it? And he becomes emotionally mature because he's confronted, you know, I don't know. Why am I giving you advice? This motherfucker doesn't deserve it. He's not even going to use it. He wouldn't use a good idea if it floated in front of his face, which it's done multiple times. Multiple times a better, smarter, sexier idea has presented itself, and he doesn't care. That's the magic of fanfiction. It's that sometimes a beautiful sandwich is left out, and it's you can make that sandwich yours. Ba-da-ba-ba-da-ba.